Rob Dawson is joining me, one of our kings of Manchester. We're talking all things Manchester United, Rob, because a couple of things coming out today. Let's start off with Scott McTominay extending his contract at United. What are the details there?
Yeah, I mean, it's good news for Manchester United that Scott McTominay signed a new contract until 2025 with the option of another year after that. So a very long contract, a contract really that reflects his growing importance to Man United and to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. You know, he only signed a long-term deal in January 2019. So this wasn't a contract that we were particularly expecting. He had a lot of years left on his current deal anyway. I think it's just fresh terms and a new contract to show how much he's improved at Manchester United and how important he is now.
And then with this, I mean, of course, quite excited for it. Definitely Scott McTominay. We know the talent that he is. Another young talent, though, was Jude Bellingham. We know that Dortmund are pretty much closing in on him when he was so heavily linked to United. It's like nightmares of Erling Haaland yet again. Dortmund coming in for another United target. Does this McTominay, signing kind of at least cushion that blow a little bit?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I mean, the thing to remember with Jude Bellingham is that he's 16 years old. You know, United spoke to him. They said that if he arrived at Old Trafford, he would be part of the first team squad. But he's still 16. He wouldn't have played that much, really. He wouldn't, in the big games, you would thought it was unlikely that Jude Bellingham would be starting in a midfield that can already boast Fred, Bruno Fernandes, Paul Pogba and the rest. It is a blow to miss out on such a highly rated young player. It's a player that United have put a lot of time and effort into trying to sign. Jude Bellingham appears like he wants to sign for Borussia Dortmund because he feels like there's more prospects of regular first-team football. And United will be disappointed. But, you have to remember that because he's only 16, he could have 3-4 very good years at Borussia Dortmund and still only be 19 or 20. It wouldn't be a huge surprise if he still ended up at Man United in the future, even if he goes and continues his development in Germany immediately.
That's true. Sometimes we forget how young he is. Well, speaking of youngsters, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, young manager, we'll say that there. He had a press conference today, a virtual press. So you, of course, were there for that one. What were some of the biggest takeaways? Because I understand he had a thing or two to say about David De Gea, who, again, everyone, of course, is talking about still at United.
Yeah, I mean, David De Gea was a talking point with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer this morning. Only natural, really, after the mistake that he made against Tottenham, the criticism that he's had from Roy Keane and Gary Neville. And obviously, the next visitors at Old Trafford are Sheffield United, where Dean Henderson, a United goalkeeper, is on loan and playing so well. The key points from what Ole said was that he still believes that David De Gea is the best goalkeeper in the world. Saying that, he also said that Dean Henderson, still only 23, remember, will probably be a United number one and England number one in the future. Personally, I thought that was the only real way that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer could have dealt with that this morning. These are two of his own players. He had to back them both. But there can only be one goalkeeper. There can only be one first-choice goalkeeper at Manchester United, and that's where the difficulty comes in. Obviously, David De Gea is not in the best form, the form that we've seen in years previously. And Dean Henderson has played very, very well at Sheffield United. They've got the second best defensive record in the league, and that is thanks in part to Dean's contribution. While the message from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer today was all that he could say, really, a decision will have to be made at some stage. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will have to make a decision about how Dean Henderson's future is played out from here. He wants to play regular first-team football. He wants to break into the England squad. Ultimately, he wants to be Manchester United number one, but he probably isn't prepared to come back to Old Trafford to sit on the bench and wait for a chance when Ole decides that he wants to drop David De Gea. So it's a very difficult situation, one that is a huge decision for the football club, really, and we'll just have to wait and see what they decide.
What do you think should happen? Of course, I have to ask your opinion. I know we spoke to Mark Ogden about it, and he said, plain and simple, he doesn't think Dean Henderson is ready to be Manchester United's number one. Romero is still a very, very top goalkeeper and doesn't really make as many mistakes as we're seeing David De Gea make right now. So where do you stand in this goalkeeper scenario?
Put me on the spot. The one thing that Ole said today was that being goalkeeper for Sheffield United and being goalkeeper for Manchester United are two very different things, and that is true. The scrutiny and the pressure at Manchester United is like nothing else a goalkeeper will face. And Dean Henderson hasn't been subjected to that yet. I think for now, I think it would be a smart move to have Dean Henderson finish the season with Sheffield United and go back to Sheffield United next season on loan. Time down to a new long-term contract. Give him another season in the Premier League and see where we're at in 12 months' time. That would give Dean first-team football, a chance to push into the England squad for the Euros next summer. It would give United another year with David De Gea, who is a proven Premier League goalkeeper, and then see where they're at. Obviously, the goalkeeping situation is very, very difficult. It's not like having two defenders or two midfielders where you can play them in the same team. You can play one goalkeeper and that's it. And the pathway that United decide for Dean Henderson is going to be very, very important, because eventually, if he doesn't believe that he can be Man United number one in a not too distant future, he's going to want to move to another top six club or another European giant. And there is a lot of interest in him. You know, Chelsea have been interested in him in the past. Bayern Munich have looked at him in the past. Juventus, Paris Saint-Germain. You know, these are some huge clubs that are looking at Dean Henderson. And at some stage, his head will be turned if he doesn't feel like he's going to have the chance to be Man United's number one.
Well, definitely all this talk about Dean Henderson, but I suppose we won't be seeing him when the Blades do face Manchester United. That might be a good thing for the Red Devils. What are you expecting in that game? Because we know that Sheffield are definitely a team to be reckoned with.
Yeah, and you can see from the reverse fixture earlier in the season where Sheffield United gave United a real scare with that 3-0 draw. You know, there were periods of that game where United were completely outplayed and looked all over the place, really. I think United have improved since then. I'd expect a different game at Old Trafford on Wednesday, particularly because they've got Bruno Fernandes now. Obviously, Paul Pogba's coming back. We saw his impact against Spurs. There is a chance that those two will start together for the first time, which will be very, very exciting for Manchester United fans. Sheffield United have had a very good season, but they're struggling with a few injuries. They've got a few people who may be absent. Obviously, we saw at the weekend at Newcastle that they didn't play particularly well. You know, the United need to win that game, really, if they've got any hope of getting into the top four. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was disappointed to drop points against Spurs, but really United need to put a very strong run of wins together to force their way into the top four and get into the Champions League next season.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.